This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites, a no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better media host or looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month free. And with that said, enjoy the show.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast and to this special episode of our Patron Mailbag. This is episode number 6. My name is Nick Howell.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and I'm waiting to hear what Chris Jericho's question will be for our show today, Nick.
Yeah.
But, not sorry. That's a different platform. No. This is from our patrons. Everyone, if you are a patron of our show, we thank you so very much. It does mean the world to us because it enables us to do this show, to do what we love to do, and it helps us to keep putting out more and more content for you. If you're not a patron, please join up. Consider joining up. Consider giving some money to the show. And if you do, it means you can ask a question for this very episode and have your questions answered by Mr. Howell and myself right here on our special episodes that we do just for questions, just to pick our brains and see what we think about stuff and just discuss this crazy business that we love talking about so much.
Yes, it was important enough to us, that listener questions segment that we've done for the last few years here on the Busted Wide Open podcast, that we wanted to give it a little more time and a little more oomph and a little more care and feeding, so we broke it out into its own show.
Yeah.
You can watch right here live on YouTube at youtube.com/bustedwideopen. If you're not subscribed to the channel, come on over and join us. Hang out in the live chat and interact with us while we live stream every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you get alerts and notifications on your mobile devices whenever we're going live so you don't miss out on a single show. Also, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at BWO Podcast. On Facebook, given that we're about 90 minutes away from the kickoff show, the buy-in of AEW Full Gear, you want to make sure you're in our Facebook discussion group. So go over and search for Busted Wide Open on Facebook. You'll find our page, give it a like, and you'll find a discussion group with a join button. Send your request. We'll get you right in where we can have the watch party for tonight's AEW buy-in, the kickoff show. We'll do a watch party on Facebook. That's what they call it, where you can interact and all watch it together. And then we're going to switch over to, you'll find a link at the top of the Facebook group. We'll switch over to our Discord community where we have a live chat real time going on during the show so that we keep all the spoiler content out of the Facebook group. We keep it live in the dedicated channel for AEW
Full gear, damn it, Nick. Full gear.
Full gear. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I keep getting that mixed up. But yes, AEW Full Gear tonight. We're going to have a lot of action happening both in the group and in our Discord community. Make sure you guys are joined. But the action right now is right here on YouTube, and it is with our patrons that we love very, very much. Patreon.com/BWO if you want to get in on some of that action. Ian?
Yes.
We are going to kick things off with the champ,
Ooh.
Mr. Andy Jessup.
2 weeks until he defends the championship.
He has 2 weeks until he defends.
Yeah.
He is the reigning, defended, undisputed Pick'em's champion.
Get it right. Get it right there, Paul Heyman.
It's a lot of words to get out there.
A lot of P words.
Yeah.
Patrons Pick'em's
I wish I could do that with his name. Jessup.
There you go.
I'm not going to do that ever again.
Don't ever do that again.
Andy Jessup asks, every company has their own version of a world title, including Busted Wide Open. Which one is the most prestigious, and why? Which is the least, and why? Also, out of all the current champions, who's the best?
Oh, wow. Mine's
easy. I got to go. The most prestigious for me over time is the 10 pounds of gold, the NWA championship. Has always been the one that I always held to the highest standard.
But that's the funny thing. That was I had a brief second where I thought NWA title, and from a historical standpoint, you certainly can point to the history and point to the people who've held it. But only recently has it been considered prestigious again, right?
Sure.
Because ever since it was thrown down by Shane Douglas in the mid '90s he threw down the title. He won it, said it was trash, threw it down, picked up the ECW belt, and said this is the new real belt. He buried him. That was the death of the NWA at that point. It was WCW got bought out by Turner, and Shane Douglas thrown on the belt was the two big stakes in the NWA. We can go into the whole history of that.
Flair defected, it all went downhill really quick. Yeah.
all kinds of crazy. Well, Flair defected because what's his name, who was a burger guy, took over WCW. I can't remember off the top of my head, but
burger guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh no. We'll get into the whole thing another time, okay. Nick. I trust me. But that's the thing, is there was such a long. It's been about 25 years the NWA title has been considered trash, and it's only recently, since Billy Corgan's picked it up and started making it into something again, and Nick Aldis has given it some sort of air of legitimacy, that people are starting to remember that it is a very historically prestigious belt. But it's had 25 years off, so I can't really say that that's the case.
Okay, tell me yours and stop telling me why I'm wrong.
I'm just arguing. I'm just having a discussion here, Nick. Because I'm saying, like, if you're going to have a belt that has prestige, it has to have history, and it has to have the people that have defended it are, people that are legendary as well. The NWA belt does fall into that category. You've got some incredible people who defended the NWA belt.
It's also got its own nickname, the 10 pounds of gold. That's always resonated with me as well.
Or when you get the big gold belt, and you have the spinner belt. Like these nicknames for belts doesn't mean they're a good belt. But for me, if you look at the history and the matches that have gone into defending the belt, the way that the champions are thought of across the board, the belt that has the fewest champions that you kind of roll your eyes at when you hear their name would be the IWGP heavyweight belt for New Japan.
I can't argue with that.
I'm thinking about it. AWA, I think, had too short of a shelf life. WWE Championship could be in the mix, but again, you've had so many champions that I don't think deserve the belt. You had a period where it was bouncing around a lot, going to everybody. Certainly, historically speaking, and in terms of the size of the company, that's got to be in the discussion.
Sure. But in the last 15 to 20 years, they've commoditized it. And it's turned into a commodity. It's not a special thing.
Straight match quality and quality of champions. You could definitely talk about the All Japan title. I mean, just Mitsuharu Misawa alone. Yeah. But I've got to go with the IWGP as the number one for me.
I'm with you there.
Closely followed by NWA and WWE. I would throw the big gold belt in there just because I love how that belt looks. Whether you want to talk about the Jim Crockett one or the NWA one, but that one also just got so tarnished, I think, by the end.
I see a lot of inspiration from the traditional NWA World Championship in the AEW World Championship as well.
God, that's a good looking belt.
It's such a good look. Like, if you would ask me 5 years from now and AEW continues their meteoric rise, I might struggle to not say AEW, because that is a beautiful, beautiful belt.
Well, you can't look at how the belt looks. I mean, I've seen some very pretty looking belts, but doesn't mean that they're prestigious. They have to have a lot of history behind it.
If the sticker is which is most prestigious, I'm sticking with NWA. Closely followed. I'm kind of just the reverse of you. Closely followed by the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in New Japan.
Fair.
Ian, what is the least prestigious and why?
That's really tough, because
that's harder for me than...
That's way harder for me, because if you're talking about current, I mean, again, the world title from some, as Cornette would put it, some mud wrestling company in the middle of nowhere, that would be the least prestigious. You know what I mean? Like, if we're talking major companies, like, that's really tough, because maybe TNA, but even they've had some really incredible people hold that belt. It's more just the company itself. You know, I'm not talking about Impact. I'm talking about TNA. But Impact's got the shortest shelf life. Ring of Honor has had some absolutely amazing people hold that belt. I think it's a very prestigious belt. It's just right now Ring of Honor kind of is falling apart.
Yeah.
That's incredibly hard. Yeah, I'd have to say just like some indie promotion. I'm not even like even lower than CZW. You know what I mean? Like something where.
Esme in the chat said Rev Pro, and I kind of went,
No, Tanahashi's held that belt.
Right. Yeah, it's fine.
Like serious people have held the Rev Pro belt. And
it's not like it's a goof like the 24/7 title or anything like that. Rev Pro's a legit belt. So
yeah, I mean, if Defiant was still around, I'd say theirs. But Drew McIntyre was their champ. You know, I mean, they've had some incredible champs over there. Progress has had some incredible champs. Like,
which is the least prestigious world title? I'm struggling here. I can't think of one that is. Yeah, it's got to be something trivial that we just never really
Evolve.
Watched a lot of.
Maybe Evolve. Because like they've had some incredible people, they've had some really good champs, but they're basically a WWE feeder group at this point.
Yeah.
So right now, like, who cares who's Evolve champ? You know what I mean? I think it's Austin Theory right now, off the top of my head. I think he's Evolve champ, which good for him. I don't know. Maybe the CZW champ would be less prestigious than Evolve, but MLW, no, I don't know. Maybe
ECW?
MLW is still coming. ECW's not even around. I mean, I'm talking about like currently active titles or like recently active titles. Yeah.
Does bar wrestling have a world championship?
No, I don't think they do. Yeah, PWG is pretty prestigious. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know. I also partly don't want to say because like a lot of these smaller companies, I wish them the best, and I don't want to be like, screw this company.
I got my 2-time Bola champion King Ricochet shirt on.
All right.
So we can't be talking down on the PWG championship.
Nick is going to change his name to Mark sometime later today. Anyway, yeah, no, I have a hard time saying what the least prestigious is. Oh, what was the other question he asked? It was who's the best champion?
Also, out of all the current champions, who's the best?
Oh, well, I mean, Brock Lesnar, obviously.
No.
Kazuchika Okada.
It's easily Kazuchika Okada.
It's easily Kazuchika Okada. Guy is all time.
Jericho may be a close second.
He holds
Okada.
Okay, yeah. Okada holds all the records for that title. The title I just called the most prestigious title in the world. He holds all the records for them, pretty much.
And it will be a long time before anyone comes close to getting anywhere near all those.
Some of those records, yeah, for length of reign, total cumulative
number of reigns, consecutive reigns, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's got to be Okada.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Champ, and good luck in a couple weeks. And I'm serious. I want to see some promos from you patrons coming after the Champ, because we can't have him three-peat. All right? So let's see it happen. Thank you very much, and good luck at Survivor Series. Next up, we had Brian, who asked, we've seen Paige's story turned into a movie. Is there any other wrestlers, past or present, that you'd love to see their life story turned into a serious movie? Who would you want to play the wrestlers and or supporting cast members? Also, who would you like to see direct it?
I've heard they're trying to make a Flair movie. I know they're trying to make
I've always wanted a Ric
movie.
Flair movie, and I think they do have one in development.
Yeah.
So stay tuned on that one.
I know there's a few. There's a few that they're developing. Flair would be a great movie. Hogan, I know they're in the works on that. I don't know if that'd be a great movie because good luck getting history right with all the BS, the pool of lies. You have no idea what's true and what's not. I would love to see a Harley Race movie, personally.
Ooh,
that guy has a fascinating story. That is a tough son of a gun. You get John C. Reilly to play him, because I mean everyone thinks of John C. Reilly as comedy. The dude can do serious as well, really well. He's still, I think, at an age where he can play young Harley if they use some of that, like the Irishman special effects, and he can play old Harley. That's a guy who had an absolutely insane life, like the highest highs, the lowest lows. The top of my head, I'm going to say Harley Race. I'm sure if I marinate on it, I'll come up with another good one. But off the top of my head, Harley Race would be an absolutely baller movie.
Yeah, I'm going to throw Macho Man Randy Savage out there. I don't know who
Jesus, who do you get to do
would cast to do that.
Wow.
But I would love to see a biopic type of like serious movie about his comeuppance and the evolution of the Macho Man from what we knew in the late 80s to snap into a Slim Jim.
Show his baseball era. Like, that guy was a top baseball player.
Yes.
And he got injured. Had a bum knee.
All of that.
Stop. Yeah. I mean, you could definitely show like who he was outside of because he was known for being, pretty, like, he turned himself up to 11 to be Macho Man on TV, but he was known for being pretty much that guy in real life. So I'd be curious to see someone take on that role. I mean, the way that Hollywood's going these days, it would probably be Robert Pattinson playing him. But at the same time, I would be curious to see a Macho Man movie, but it would just be difficult, I think, to not have him come across as a caricature.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those, once Hollywood get their hooks into something, they tend to like make stuff up to fill in the gaps. And that's where I would start to get a little bit concerned. Like, I would almost rather see a 60-minute YouTube documentary by someone that actually knows wrestling history and all of that stuff to make a 60-minute documentary of sorts. But if we're talking about like a proper Hollywood film, like Paige, like Wrestling with My Family, which was actually
Fighting with My
fine
Family.
film.
Yeah.
Or Fighting with My Family.
Okay, now let me be clear. When they
very pleasantly surprised with
when
how
they
good
announced that movie, I was like, there's no way it's going to be good. I'm like, my thought was Paige doesn't have enough history, she doesn't have enough time with the company to make an interesting movie. And it was the angle that they took in the movie, which was making it like a fun family kind of drama, kind of comedy. Like, it was fun, right? It wasn't too serious. It was about coming up in the wrestling business. That angle that they took on it, I agree, Nick. I was pleasantly surprised. I was shocked.
Vince Vaughn was the secret anchor of that film.
Oh, absolutely. You definitely have to have the hidden talent, like the hidden heroes, the MVPs.
Yep.
But that's what makes me like, I think Harley Race's low-hanging fruit. Paige would have been someone that I would never, like, if we'd on this show, we're like, what would you think about a Paige movie? I'd be like, no way, come on. Who gives a... She already has enough movies out there online. You can find them with a quick Google search. We don't need to have any more of those. Sorry, bad joke.
I'd love to see one. Even though we know his entire history at this point because it's been talked about ad nauseum, I'd love to see one of Dwayne Johnson, of his coming up through college football.
Right.
He had a whole story about having $7 in his pocket that he's told a bunch of times, going to Canadian football and not making it and having $7 and having to get back to Miami and then calling his dad and trying out and all that stuff before he ever got to be Rocky Maivia with the blue feather shit on WWF. He went through all that stuff. And that right there, going through steroids in the 90s with football and athletics and all of that stuff, right? There's a huge story there, not to mention what's happened after for the last 10 years in Dwayne Johnson's life.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's got like some darkness in their life and then, either a tragic ending or a happy ending is going to make for a good story. I think Bruiser Brody would make it for a good movie. That'd be a really good one. I always kind of tend to think about, like I said, like the Paige one. I would never have guessed that would have worked because I don't think that modern stories have been told yet. Like, we don't know the whole story, right?
Yeah.
So it's harder for me to envision that as a movie. I automatically go back to all of the crazy road stories that we've heard back in the day. And can you imagine, like, if you did like a Rowdy Piper movie and all of the crazy shit those guys were doing to each other on the road? You could have cameos from Mr. Perfect doing crazy ribs, Haku's ripping someone's nose off, whatever it is. You know what I mean? You could have like all these road stories feed into that story of the main character because of all of the crazy shit that was happening with those guys that we've never seen put on film because no one's really made wrestling movies. Like, the closest we had to a real wrestling movie was The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, where they showed what goes on behind wrestling. That was the only one that wasn't a documentary. That was a drama about what it's really like to be a wrestler. And
I'm anxious to see. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, you've got room to do more of that. Like, I would have been curious to see Randy the Ram in his heyday. Like, what's that movie? I'm not saying they should do a wrestler prequel, but I'm saying, like, you've got real wrestlers from history you could do that kind of prequel about. So that would be a really good look. What were you going to say? I'm sorry, brother.
There's a couple of things. I'm anxious to see, if you guys haven't heard the interview that we did a few months ago with Ryan Nemeth, Hot Young Briley, Dolph Ziggler's brother. They're currently in production on a film that he crowdfunded called Heel. Crowdfunded successfully, I should say.
Yes.
And they're currently making, and it's about the dark sides of the wrestling business around sexual assault that happens. I know nothing more really about the story other than what he told us in the interview, and I'm anxious to see what comes out of that and whether it's going to do some good for the wrestling business or if it's going to shine another dark spot on wrestling in general and, give people yet another reason to, look poorly upon the wrestling business. So that's one. Two, the other curveball I'm going to throw at you, Jesse Ventura. I would absolutely love to see a Jesse Ventura sort of life story dramatized. Go back to Minnesota with Vern Gagne all the way up through him working with WWF and Vince, and then on commentary, and then the falling out that they had.
Yeah,
and then
trying to
somehow
unionize. I think that would be relevant because he was the guy who was trying to unionize WWE, and that's a lot of talk right now. Is the fact that you have all these wrestlers who are held hostage financially by Vince McMahon. And
John Oliver covered it. AEW made a big stink about giving the wrestlers full benefits and all earlier this year. So, and then his ascension to governorship, getting into politics, and I don't know if they'll get to the fact that he's turned into the Crypt Keeper somehow, but it's just like, I would love to see the last 40 years of Jesse Ventura's life dramatized into a 2 to 3 hour film. That guy has been through just about everything that you could go through. And I would love to see that, but it'll never happen.
Yeah,
WWF will never let it happen.
He went from ain't got time to bleed to so dried up he can't bleed. But yeah, I would be interested in that story as well. He is a fascinating guy, and although he has kind of gone into the conspiracy theorist nut job side of things,
he's one I want to see get on Jericho's podcast and talk with Jericho.
He's been on Jericho's podcast.
No, but do you remember how him and Bo Dallas went into conspiracy theories a year or so ago? I want to see Jesse Ventura and Jericho have a conspiracy theory off with each other. My head would explode. You can throw all the damn conspiracy theories out there you want on Jericho's podcast, and I won't say a damn peep or I won't say a damn tweet. So yeah. I'm all for that. For those of you who've been following my tribulations on Twitter lately. Yes. Apparently everybody has, and it got picked up and syndicated with Fox News across
thanks
the
for reminding.
Anyway, thanks, Fox News. Anyway, thank you, Brian. Obviously, Ian and I are very big movie geeks, so we could go into this for hours and hours. Next up, Patrick asks, do you guys think that Brock Lesnar going back to Raw means that we'll see Ronda show back up on SmackDown sooner rather than later? I don't think that they're related. I think that I don't either. I think that because Ronda's out until she has a baby. Ronda's out to get pregnant and start a family. She'll be out for a few years. If she comes back, when she comes back, who knows if Brock will still be in the picture. So no, I don't. Go watch the first 2 or 3 episodes of Total Divas, and we might not ever see Ronda Rousey in the WWE again. Yeah. That's the impression that I'm getting, is that she doesn't care. Yeah. They're on their farm up in Bakersfield or Northern LA, wherever it is. What do they call it? Brown's Farm or something like that. I can't remember. But she's walking around in like mud boots and hunting gear and camo, and loving it. Just could not give a shit about wrestling right now. Yep. So I don't know if we'll ever see her back, regardless of what it has to do with Brock. Is it called Brown's Farm? Really? Browsy Acres or something like that. I see what something like that. Got it. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say Brown's Farm. Why would you name your farm after a shitty football team? Anyway. He also asked, also with Finn giving the finger guns to AJ while he had the 2 Sweet up was a signal to Adam Cole to attack AJ, or do you think we'll actually get the phenomenal ones? I don't think that it was a signal to attack AJ. I definitely think it was an ICU kind of thing, and also definitely to try to tickle some fans on their heinies, which it worked for Nick. It worked for Nick, and it worked. Honestly, it worked for me too. I was sitting there going, well, obviously that's more of Bullet Club history. We'll never see than anything. Right. We'll never see all the leaders of Bullet Club in the same room together. That's just because politics. But
Although if we did, that'd be cool. But that's about as close as we're going to get. And that was pretty sweet. At least on the same page. You know, obviously, like, we saw them have a match, but it was very different than them actually being on the same page and healing it up. Yeah. But no, I think that was just a fan service moment.
It worked. Thank you very much for the questions there, Patrick. Next up, Jacob. Who has been the best NXT champion, the best NXT women's champ, the best NXT tag champ, and the best North American champ? And what has been the best match for each of those titles? Jesus Christ.
Oh, my God.
Guys, we're going to have to start doing research on some of these. We try and answer these as cold and off the cuff as we can. So, best NXT champion? Who do you got for best NXT champion so far? For me, it's Finn Balor.
I'm going to have to say the same thing. In terms of length of reign, he was there when NXT really, I think, blew up and became.
I think he's the one that put NXT in the mainstream.
Yeah,
with the Demon,
I think so.
Gimmick.
And part of that was just right place, right time, because there's certainly other champs that you can talk about as having more exciting matches, whether that's the Gargano-Ciampa feud,
sure.
Or even Drew McIntyre, I think, did really good work in NXT. But I think just some of everything, the sum of everything, you'd have to say Finn Balor, just because of what NXT became under his reign and what his reign helped NXT become. So yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Finn Balor, best NXT champ, makes it all the more beautiful and relevant that he would then come back to NXT.
Best NXT championship match.
His best Samoa Joe, I think. Oh, or Kevin Owens in Japan. That's tough.
No, I'm saying so the question was, what has been the best match for each of the titles? So what's your best NXT championship title match? Not necessarily Finn's.
I mean, it's got to be Gargano and Andrade, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be.
No, we some of those that first or second Adam Cole Gargano match this year was not the cage one, but the Asylum match or whatever it was, but the one before that. Holy smokes, that one was great. The one where Gargano had him in the Gargano escape, and he was just rearing back and screaming, doing that. Oh my God,
that was a little too finisher spammy for me. A little like an overbooked ending. Like that Gargano Andrade match was just absolute freaking perfection. I don't
know. I'm probably gonna go back to some of Kevin's matches. Probably is the
what? No, what did Kevin have that was any kind of a good title match? With who? He didn't. He had some decent matches. Nothing that was all time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no. I think it's just warm fuzzy memories. I don't remember Kevin Owens having any like all time classics. We're in the last couple of years have just been lights out with NXT.
Cristiano in the chat said Shinsuke Joe.
Shinsuke Joe was great. The problem with the problem with Shinsuke Joe, I'm starting to jump in here, Nick, but the problem with Shinsuke Joe is they stopped the match to stop Joe from bleeding. They didn't just let it go. Although I did like when he kneed him in the face and Joe pretended like his jaw was dislocated. That was beautiful. if it was pretend.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, well that's men's.
It's got to. I'm still thinking about the Kevin Owens matches, and it's got to be the Balor match.
Right.
The one
in Japan.
And that funny enough, right? Beast in the East stuff. So
yeah.
Thank you very much for the question. Oh, we've got to do others. Okay,
yeah,
Jacob asked us
a whole bunch of other ones, man.
So best NXT Women's Champ, Asuka. Duh.
Asuka.
Best NXT Women's Championship match.
Asuka's best match, either Ember Moon or Nikki Cross, last woman standing.
Was that for the championship though?
I believe so.
That last woman standing match with Nikki Cross?
I believe it was.
Because that was easily the best one if it was.
No, Ember Moon was the best one. Ember Moon, that match was unbelievable.
Okay. I'm going to say the last woman standing match with Nikki Cross because I'm not sure whether it was for the title or not, but I think that was the easily best one.
Okay.
And then we have the NXT Tag Championships.
Ooh. This is.
Oh God, this is tough.
This is
DIY.
Tough. No, it's got to be the Ascension. I keyed. I might have to say Undisputed Era. Like, think about how many awesome matches they've started off takeovers with.
With Mustache Mountain?
Or with whoever. I'm going back and trying to think of all the different tag teams that have been at the top.
Okay, I agree with you on Undisputed Era. Now, the question is it Red Dragon or is it with Roderick Strong?
Oh, Red Dragon. Red Dragon.
Yeah, good answer.
Yeah. O'Reilly Fish. Their best match, I mean, Jesus, they're pretty much anyone that they opened a show with. There was one that was just super insane and super hot. Which one was that one? It wasn't Lorcan and Birch.
Was it the Lorcan and Birch?
That one was really good, and that one was just
Ow.
Oh my God.
Stiff AF.
No, there was another one. It wasn't
Was it it was Mustache Mountain, wasn't it?
That was that was on NXT TV, and it was really good. They did a couple of good ones with Mustache Mountain.
Yeah. I think that's the best one, honestly. That's what's really bubbling up to the top of my memory banks.
I feel like there was another match they had that was opening a takeover, and I'm spacing it right now. Damn.
Chat says DIY Revival or Mustache Mountain versus Riley Strong.
Yeah, maybe. Exactly, Mustache Mountain versus Riley Strong. I mean, DIY Revival is one of my favorite tag feuds. DIY Revival AOP is one of my favorite tag feuds.
DIY AOP is probably one of mine too.
Like that whole thing just blew my damn mind. Some of the best tag wrestling in the modern era,
and it led to the split. All of the stuff.
Oh,
just that
so
whole
good.
Like, go back and revisit. Like, if you're new or if you've lapsed, go back and revisit the build of DIY AOP that ultimately led to Tommaso turning on Gargano.
With Revival.
That ultimately led to him coming back with the Revival. That ultimately led to him coming back. And we had the whole thing we did throughout all of 2018 that we called that we would have.
That moment.
My God.
When it was DIY Revival, and at the end, they both had him in the submissions, and Dash and Wilder were holding onto each other's hands, trying to not tap. And then they couldn't, and they had to tap at the end. The crowd just went nuclear. And DIY won the belts. One of the best moments in NXT ever. I still got to say Undisputed Era. And they're not done with their tag reign yet. Like, they're fantastic.
Nowhere close to being done, it feels like.
No.
Okay, we got to do the same thing for the North American Championship. As young as that title is.
Yeah, that's a limited championship right there.
I'm going to go Velveteen Dream is probably the best champ.
Ooh.
I mean, what do we got? Roderick Strong and Velveteen Dream?
Ricochet and Adam Cole. I think those are the guys that have held it. And I'm going to say Adam Cole on that one. Cole Ricochet was stupid.
I don't know. I like Velveteen Dream and what he's been doing. I hate that he's hurt right now. That really put a huge brake pump on what he was building. But I think he's going to come back strong. I think he's going to get it right back. That's where I'm.
I think Dream was fine, but I think his reign was a little bit lackluster. A couple of fine matches, but I liked him. I liked his matches better when he didn't have a belt involved. Cole being the first champ, winning it in that absolutely batshit insane ladder match.
Okay.
And then every match he had defending it was lights out.
Okay. You've convinced me. You're right. It is totally Adam Cole.
Yeah.
I forgot about that initial match to determine the winner or the inaugural champ.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. Okay, and okay, that was it. Great.
All right.
There we go. There's our rundown on NXT history. Thank you, Jacob. That was a really fun one to go back down the memory lane. It makes me want to go watch some old NXT now.
Do some research on it.
As if I don't have enough wrestling to watch.
And I know it's one of those things we're going to do research on it and be like, oh my God, I forgot about that one.
No, I forgot about that match.
No. So much stuff.
Next up,
it's a good thing we have short-term memories like Vince thinks we do.
Yeah, exactly. I do, actually.
I really do.
Next up, Martin. Welcome to the Phenomenal Ones, Martin. Brand new patron. Thank you very much for joining the team.
Yeah, brother.
He says, other than Charlotte Flair, do you think any current stars are ever going to get more championship runs than Ric Flair? Should anyone get more title runs than Ric?
First of all, Ric's title record is an arbitrary number anyway, made up by WWE. So, Ric will always be Ric, no matter what number they put next to his name. So I'm not really worried about someone beating this particular number. Obviously, they're trying to have Charlotte do it, which, fine, whatever. Cute. The only other person who's anywhere close, realistically, who could do it is John Cena.
Randy Orton.
He's only got 13?
14.
14?
I believe.
You'd have to do a little bit of juggling with his career to...
He just signed 5 more years.
He did sign 5 more years. I guess it's theoretically possible.
They don't sign people to 5-year contracts to let them do nothing.
Should Randy beat that number? No, I don't think so. I don't think he's earned it. I think he's a dude that's coasts. He coasts. He's a guy that had such incredible potential, and he's reached. I mean, he's done more than pretty much anybody else has done in history. He's definitely got to be in the top couple of percentiles in history, and yet it's still the perception that he could have been so much more. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's how much potential this guy had, and yet he didn't reach his potential. Yet he's still one of the greatest of all time. I don't think
I think
he's record.
Like the last. If you take John Cena out of the picture, you could really sit WWE up on Randy Orton's shoulders of the last 10 to 20 years. Like, he's been a figurehead of a lot of. If you look at some of the stuff that he did with The Rock in the early days. The early 2000s and all the way up to today.
But they
he's
tried
still
to.
He's still in the championship picture with Jinder and with Daniel Bryan and with everybody.
The championship picture, but he's not holding up the company. They tried to have that happen, and just because of his, because of who he was, how he dealt, like how he dealt with everything, his lackadaisical attitude, going out there and doing dumb shit like getting busted for drugs and everything else. They couldn't rest it on his shoulders, and they rested it on John Cena's instead, and that's one of the reasons why they survived through those years. Is Cena was a company man who was clean as a whistle, and well, for the most part, and just went out there and did his job, and he was tirelessly working and always hustling.
Yeah,
right. That's why Cena now has 16 and Randy has 14, and yes, Randy's still with the company, but he's just kind of there. And Cena's out there becoming a movie star. I think if Cena.
So the question was, do you think any current WWE stars are ever going to get more? I think yes. I think to answer that question directly, I think yes, there will be someone that gets more.
Who?
I could see Cena coming back for a
That's mine.
Legends run, tribute run, and to get that one more. It's not going to be me 2 years ago calling him to run the gamut of Rumble to Mania. But should anyone get more title runs than Rick? Yes. I think so, eventually, yes. Is it probably going to be Charlotte be the first one? Yes. It probably will be.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think they're gunning for her to get it. They're stacking her title reigns.
Or at this rate, the New Day. You never know. They
The problem with Charlotte is that she's going to get the number, and then someone's going to come along in a promo, which is the problem with a lot of times with promos, is they actually cut down the wrestler instead of actually building a feud. And someone's going to say, yeah, you got 16 feuds. They were all short as hell. You had like 4 2-day reigns. Congratulations. Your dad ran 18 different companies on his shoulders for 15 years. Meanwhile, you've barely run this one for 5.
Right.
I don't know. It's all arbitrary. I don't think it's her and Cena right now. That's it. I don't see anyone else even possible.
Chat says Brock, but I don't know if Brock's got legs to make it that far at this point.
He has to lose the title.
He's got the record now for longest reign, right? After he beat the Punk number in Vince's biggest move of spite ever. Didn't he top that number of the longest reign?
No. I mean, modern era, because remember Bruno held it for like years. Hogan held it for years.
Yeah. He beat Punk's number, the 400 and something days. Yeah. All right. Okay, thank you very much, Martin, for the question. Welcome to the Phenomenal One,
I don't
sir.
know how many reigns has he had, though. How many reigns has Brock had? It's like 8 or something?
I don't know. I'll ask the next question. You can look that up.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
Throw back to it. Next up is Brandon. Who do you think in AEW will have a rivalry the likes of John Cena and Randy Orton spanning countless years? I think we might be looking at one right now. I think
Cody Jericho?
I think we might be seeing Cody Jericho go on for a long, long time. And it'll come in and out. It'll come in waves. We'll see Jericho do something to spite. We'll inevitably see some kind of turn one way or the other where they're on the same page and then turning back where they screw the other one over. Yeah, I think Cody Jericho could be one of the longest running, at least initial feuds in AEW. That's easily my pick. I'm struggling to think of anything else because it is still so new. There's nothing that's as foundational so far. It would be fun to see Omega Moxley go on for a long time. I just don't have enough to base that on yet. But the fact that they came out of the gates hot with Moxley's debut at Double or Nothing with him basically AAing him off a stack of poker chips onto tables, that just really set the bar. And then we've seen this consistent thing all summer and all into the fall, all through the rest of the year between Omega and Moxley. There's hope there that could turn into something long term. So, what about you, Ian? Did you find anything over there on Brock, by the way?
I'm having trouble with it, but right. I'll figure it out. But I might have just found it actually. He has been 5 times the WWE champion, so he's got a long way to go.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, 3 times.
Feels like so much more.
3 times with the Universal, so 8 times with a big belt in WWE, but only 5 times with the black and gold.
Gotcha.
So, people who could be like the John Cena, Randy Orton. First of all, I don't think that's. I understand what Brandon's going for here, with a feud that spans a long time, right? Like, the fight forever kind of feud. I don't think of Randy Orton and John Cena when I think of that. I think of the most boring era in WWE when I think of that team up. But I understand what he's getting at.
Yeah.
I know what he's saying. I think Cody Jericho could be one. They could build into that based on what they have right now. If you wanted to, you could I think Moxley Omega would be a really interesting dynamic to have spread over a bunch of years. And you could shift dynamics with that one and really create some interesting backstory with those guys. But as you said, Nick, like we're too early days right now. Like we've barely had anything in AEW. And so right now it would be more like whose current character would you like to see with another current character over a number of years? And there's going to be so much evolution that's going to happen, and they're going to find so many different nuances.
I think to have something like that, the fundamental thing here we have to understand is that they have to have time in the company.
There's got to be time.
The company has to exist longer than 9 months.
I mean, I could see, MJF and Cody having a 10-year feud. Once MJF finally turns on him and it becomes a blood feud and it just lasts forever, and MJF is like his nemesis. I could see that, but they have a lot of work to do towards that, and it's very early days yet. MJF may never turn on him. MJF may never turn on him. We don't know. So there's a lot that we have yet to see. Right now, all we can really see is maybe Jericho Cody could be a long-term feud because they have really great chemistry and they play off each other well and in their current dynamic. But beyond that, it's hard to really see, because even like in the early days of Orton Cena, you couldn't really see that they were going to match up for years and years and years to come. It just happened to be that they were the 2 top guys.
Yeah.
So
I think the Orton Rock stuff was better than the Orton Cena stuff. So I always call back to that as an example rather than Orton Cena, even though they were the foundational parts of that tenure of WWE.
No, my favorite Orton stuff is still the match with Mick Foley when he did the tack spot. I got a lot of respect for him then. It's like, oh boy,
makes me uncomfortable. I can feel things pricking my back right now.
And when I think of Randy Orton, I think of like one of 3 things, and one of those 3 things is always his expression as he sits up from taking that tack bump. Like right after Mick drops on the tacks and he sits up, and you can just see his eyes are bugging wide open and his mouth is, he's never taken a thumbtack spot before in his life. And that expression is 100% real. Yep. Oh my God, what have I done? So,
in case you missed it this week, Jimmy Havoc took another staple to the forehead.
Of course he did. To the tongue, too, I believe.
But he did. Yeah. Oh, God. Thank you very much, Brandon. Good question. Next up, Billy has a 2-parter for us. What is your favorite piece of wrestling merchandise? Could be something big or even just a T-shirt. Of all my stuff, I have a crazy fondness for my purple Villain Club shirt for some reason.
Fair
Ian,
enough.
I'm going to grab mine real quick, but
okay.
why don't you tell people...
So you're going to go grab your Nia Jax shrine over there, your Nia Jax stand-up?
Absolutely not what I'm going to do.
Oh, okay.
But why don't you tell the folks while I grab mine real quick?
Well, I got to think of what mine is. It could be... I have most of it kind of scattered around me here. It could be my signed Mick Foley picture back here. I got a signed Mick Foley pick, or early. I got most of it behind me. Early Pro Wrestling Illustrated with Hogan on the front. I got a signed Pentagon Junior mask up there, kind of out of camera shot. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I never got that much merch. Like, I've never been a really big merch guy. I got a couple of knickknacks here and there, and it was one thing that, like, when we were putting the show together, and I was like, well, I got to create the space around here and, put some stuff on the walls. I'm like, wow, I really don't have a lot of stuff. I got like a New Japan scarf or towel and a couple of
You have a signed Mick Foley picture.
That's what I was saying.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was one of my.
That's a treasure. Right
that's
there,
one of my.
Especially for
I've
you.
also got a signed. You can't. I don't think you can see it on this either. But I got a signed Mick Foley shirt. I got some signed Mick Foley stuff. Like, he's my. I got signed stuff from Mr. Mick because he's my boy.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite modern things is good old Gerald here.
Yeah, we love Gerald,
aka Daryl. Although, freaking man, Takashi's killing me. He keeps getting new cats, and I'm like, man, I'm just getting one. I'm not getting Carol and now Percy the pig in a Assassin's Creed outfit. Like, they're going crazy with this over here. I can't keep up. So that's my stuff.
So mine is something that I got earlier this year on our trip to LA, nonetheless. And it's one of those things that I immediately went back to my teens as something that I remember wanting. Somebody gave me one of the old throwback, like, foam merchandise,
yes.
Stone Cold belts.
Oh my God.
And just from the Attitude Era, it's everything that I remember kind of falling in love with wrestling about is kind of symbolized in this. It's not like a very valuable piece of merch, but you've got the old Attitude Era plate. You've obviously got Stone Cold, the Smoking Eyes logo, just all of the stuff.
That's
I
pretty
absolutely
sweet.
love this thing. And it was when somebody gave it to me earlier this year out of an old box. They were emptying out a storage locker, and they found all this old merch. The other thing I'll show you real quick. One sec.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to tell a funny story because I actually have another piece of merch that's not around here. That's I have a love-hate relationship with. Back in the day, if you listen to Going in Raw, another fantastic wrestling podcast, if you don't listen to it, definitely check it out.
I'll just show this real quick to the YouTube audience. The entire box set of VHS tapes.
Oh, my God.
Of all the WrestleManias.
VHS tapes.
Yeah, I don't have a VCR, but I've got every WrestleMania, up to like WrestleMania 20, I think it is.
I wonder how much of our audience even knows what VHS tapes are. Anyway, yeah, so back in the day, if you listen to Going in Raw, one of the hosts, I used to live with Larson from Going in Raw, and obviously we knew Steve from back in the day as well. And Steve used to bust my balls and call me Mark Shopzone because one day, like, I got a shipment of a whole bunch of WWE T-shirts, and he was like, Jesus Christ, back when they had their online merchandise store was called Shopzone, WWE Shopzone. And so I got a huge package from Shopzone. And he was like, you, Mark, look at all the stuff you got from Shopzone. So he started calling me Mark Shopzone. That was my nickname for years, and I freaking hated it. And I've come around on it now. I think it's actually very witty. But he, the son of a bitch, one day called me. I was like, dude, I know you're a big fan of Kurt Angle. I got you a signed Kurt Angle picture. And I was like, that's amazing, man. Thank you. He's like, no problem. I'll get you next time I see you. Next time I see him, he gives it to me. And on it, it says, to Shopzone. Best wishes, Kurt Angle. I was like, you son of a bitch. And I don't know where that picture is. It's around somewhere, but I got to find it. That was just the great ball busting.
I want that up on your wall, Shop. I'm going to start calling you Shop Zone, too.
I got to find it. Oh, man.
Oh, goodness. That's good. It's fun to throw back on that, and I think a lot of people, like, the shirt I'm wearing right now is significant to me because it's when you introduced me to what going to PWG was like. In 100 degrees, 120 degrees in the American Legion.
In the oven.
In the middle of the San Fernando Valley,
yes,
right?
The Encino oven.
And I got to meet and shake hands with Ricochet, and we got the bumper that we play all the time right there, right then and there. When I bought this T-shirt, I handed Ricochet a $20 bill and bought a T-shirt from him to support his merch sales, right? And we've done that so many times since. and just all this one especially is significant for me. But yeah, I've got a bunch of Braun Strowman shirts, I should say, as well as figures and things like that have just come in over time. But there's ones that are significant and have meaning, and this shirt's definitely one of them for us doing this show for sure.
Yeah, it's great. Now I know what I'm getting you for Christmas. By the way, you gave a hint on something. I'm not gonna.
Oh boy,
I'm not gonna tell you.
No. You're gonna. I said Brock. You're gonna give me some Brock crap. Anyway, Billy's second question. A new promotion opens up in your neighborhood and they need talent. Oh boy. What would you want to do? Ring announcer, wrestler, manager, commentary, or just behind the scenes creative?
Oh, that poor promotion.
They need talent. What would you do? Ring announcer. I could be a good ring announcer. No. I would love to be a ring announcer.
Not if you didn't like that.
No, I have a huge big voice, and I would love to use it to yell stuff out, right?
I mean, at least that way when you you almost get kicked out of a hotel, you could say, look, I'm a ring announcer. I'm practicing. Instead of
it's good shit, pal.
Right.
I would love to be creative. I would love to book, long-term book.
Oh, God.
Storyline,
oh,
right?
No. Don't give Nick that power. Oh, no. Oh, God, no. Oh.
No bullshit. I've applied a couple of times to be a writer at WWE.
Oh, now we know why you never got in.
Well, you hear the stories coming out of there. Do you really want the job now? This was years ago.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
But
yeah, no, honestly, like I had considered it as well. And that's the thing. A, never done any TV writing, and B, right. I've heard the stories come out of WWE, and no, thank you.
Yeah. Underpaid, overworked, over-traveled, all that shit. Nobody wants to live in Stamford, Connecticut. I promise you.
Yeah, I definitely would not be a wrestler because I am old and I'm not in shape to be a wrestler right now. I'd have to be 20 years younger, and back in the condition I was in 20 years ago, I maybe had a basis of something I could turn into a wrestler, but not now for sure. You give me a bump now, I'll crumble into dust like Spider-Man. But
same.
Commentary maybe could take a shot at. Just obviously, Nick, we're both talkers and we both have microphones in front of our faces right now, and that gives us the ability to potentially be a commentator. But the one thing that when I listen to commentary on wrestling programs, one thing that always strikes me is the best commentary are the guys who know the business inside and out, and who also are really quick on their feet and very funny. Jerry Lawler and Jim Cornette are two guys I listen to and go, those guys have notes of funny sayings in front of them. They're very quick-witted, and they also, from a distance, Cornette right now on NWA doesn't have a TV monitor. He's watching a match right in front of him, and he can call a move from 20 feet away. Sometimes I'll see a move and not be able to figure out what it was right away, or not. There's thousands of moves and holds and everything else. I don't have that lexicon right at the front of my brain because, 100% of my life is not spent watching wrestling. Unfortunately, I wish it were. And, if this podcast continues to grow and be successful as it is right now, then maybe we could see something about that. But, I've also up in my brain, I've got a whole history of horror movies and drinks for the bar and all kinds of others, music and everything else that's up there. So I don't have room for all the wrestling moves. It's not, right there ready to be pulled out of the front of my brain the way that you would need it to be if you were on commentary. On this show, I can
hat tip to Excalibur for that. I think he stands out as somebody that just knows right off the cuff wrestling moves constantly. Just watching him call AEW stuff, I enjoy his enthusiasm and his level of knowledge. Mauro Ranallo as well.
Yeah.
Just those two guys are probably at the top for me right now.
It's a reverse avalanche Jimmy Gunzel. Haven't seen one of those in about 20 years. It was popularized by Keiji Muto back in Japan. What the hell? Like that kind of stuff is where I go like, that guy should be on commentary. So yeah, maybe if I'm
Mauro's like web of connections that he can make between like hip hop, a film, and a wrestling move.
That's painful sometimes.
And a sports reference somehow.
It's pained. Sometimes it's a real stretch. I would be like Vince McMahon. I'd be sitting there going, what a maneuver.
Yeah.
For most of the time.
Oh, he fell right on his back.
Yeah. He spiked him right on his head. It's called a DDT, dude. Whatever.
Yeah.
No, I would like to think that if If I were involved in it, like, I would probably gravitate towards the commentary desk. But if I were to do that, it would be something that I'd have to put a lot of work into because I know what's required for it. And I know that currently sitting here right now, as of today, I'm not where I would want to be the best commentator I could. But that's the case for any of these positions that he's talking about. You know what I mean? Like, could I do a manager role? Sure. I've done acting before him. I can be a big personality. I can piss people off.
I have a surprise for you. It's unfortunate that WWE 2K20 has had the technical issues that it's had since release a couple weeks ago. It is my intention for you patrons, since most of you listening to this probably are patrons. It is my intention to build the BWO universe wrestling promotion.
Oh, Jesus.
On Twitch, and I'm going to do it all live. We're going to start from scratch. We're going to build a whole thing from the ground up, and we're going to use the patrons' likenesses as our wrestlers. I hope you guys enjoy that. We did a thing earlier this year where we did like some weird matrix of names, and everybody came up with their wrestler name. And I'm gonna pull that back up, and we're gonna build a lot of folks out there, and I'm gonna be reaching out to each of you to do this. But there will be an opportunity, Sir Ian Dangerous, for us to call our own shows. And I haven't shared a lot of this yet because I haven't really worked through all of the details of the logistics of how we're going to do this and schedule it and do everything.
Let me know when you
But I got big plans for that. It's unfortunate because I wanted to get started a couple of weeks ago when the game came out, but it's not seen a lot of updates. Yeah. It is completely broken, and it's thrown a big monkey wrench in that whole plan. So stay with me. Bear with me as we figure some of that stuff out. But yeah, you might get your wish, Billy. Get to hear us be commentators of our very own promotion.
You poor
coming
man.
Soon. Billy also asked. That was his second question. Never mind. Thank you very much, Billy, for the questions there. I really enjoyed both of those. Next up is a tough one, Ian. Esmeralda asks, New Japan versus AEW Super Slam. 2 nights long. Book it.
2 nights long. Well,
so basically Wrestle Kingdom with AEW superstars.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's kind of what I'm saying. Is like they've already. Well, what's also so much of AEW came from Japan or still has working relationship with Japan. In the case of Jericho, I mean, you know, are there a lot of matches I could see wanting to see? Yeah, right off the bat.
We had several of them in the G1.
Moxley Suzuki, give me that right now. Just Moxley Suzuki.
And I want it to go on for 2 days.
Yeah, right. Have it on both days.
With no time limit.
What else would I like to see? Let's see. That we haven't already seen. We're getting Tanahashi Jericho at Wrestle Kingdom. You know, that's the thing is Young Bucks have worked all the way.
We've seen Okada Jericho. We've seen Omega Jericho. Omega Okada multiple times.
Jesus, yeah. I mean, that's right.
Have we seen Cody Okada?
I don't want to see Cody Okada. Cody's not on Okada's level. That would embarrass Cody. You know, put Cody with someone who you can work more of a personality angle with, like Naito or something like that. You know, Cody had some great matches with Ibushi while he was there. Mostly,
Esme, I'm going to throw this one back to you as well. I want to hear your New Japan versus AEW Super Show, and do me a favor, put that in a new post on Patreon, and we'll rate it, and we'll work with the other patrons, and we'll throw ideas in there. But yeah, I'd love to hear, because in my mind, a lot of the stuff that I would book, we've already seen.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Pac versus Ospreay, not in Japan, but I've seen it. It was fine. You know, I wouldn't mind Pac versus Dragon Lee or Pac versus Hiromu.
We saw Mox versus everybody in the block of G1 this year.
Yeah, I'll watch him in Ishii again, though. I'll tell you what. Jake Hager versus Ishii might be a bit of a mismatch because Jake's just so goddamn big. But I still
Jake Hager versus Lance Archer.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be a good match. I don't know if it'd be like a Super Show match, but maybe. I mean, Lance Archer's the U.S. champ right now, so why not?
We the people.
Or, you know, Hager versus Juice would be a good match too. I think that would actually end up being pretty good.
Hager, Juice Robinson, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that could be a good match. Try the Sammy Guevara versus any of the juniors.
Guevara Ospreay.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
That would be a good one. Yeah.
I'm trying to. Yeah, private
would be fun.
Private Party versus Show and Yo would be a fun match.
Oh, that'd be good.
That'd be fun.
I was thinking of somebody for Bushi a minute ago.
Okay. Well, when you come up with it, let me know. But I was just gonna say,
I'm stuck.
If you had like a nice build for it, doing a Jay White, Dustin Runnels program, right? So the old veteran versus this young whippersnapper asshole, and I guarantee Jay could get a good match out of Dustin and vice versa.
Yeah, I'm all in on that one.
That could be a fun one.
Holy smokes! Yeah, a lot of the AEW big talent, Kenny, Young Bucks, Cody.
It's why New Japan doesn't want to work with them, is because they ransacked New Japan when they left, and New Japan feels kind of, screwed over. As
they should.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I don't also think that they need to, swallow the medicine and get back together with AEW and try to work something out, because it will be advantageous for both companies.
Totally.
But
can you imagine Okada walk out? Have we figured out what AEW is going to make their WrestleMania? Like their big, is it going to be all out, all in and all out in September?
No idea. I don't know if they know.
Yeah. To be determined still at this point. But yeah, I mean, imagine Okada or Tanahashi or somebody walking out during their big show like that.
Well, I'm very curious what they're planning.
Stuff like that would be huge.
Well, because it looks like Jericho's still going to be the champ in January. I can't see why he wouldn't be the champ. As we said on the previous on our daily show today, taking the title off of Jericho now is basically throwing away money.
Right.
So I can't see taking the title off of him. Do you then have your AEW champ lose to Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom? Because I have a hard time thinking of Tanahashi putting him over unless there's some sort of get back match at some point.
No, then you've got the AEW championship in Japan, and you have to. I mean, that's a great story. You got to send people to go get the AEW championship back.
Yeah.
Like some kind of weird invasion angle. You've got to AEW's got to invade New Japan, and
maybe
they just show up and run roughshot.
At least they're not like taking a New Japan title to the United States and holding it hostage like Brock Lesnar did, when he took the IWGP title and said they didn't pay me enough and didn't give the title back, and he had to lose it over in he had to lose it in All Japan, or it was Inoki's Genome Federation. He lost it to Kurt Angle, then Kurt Angle went back to IW to the New Japan and unified the titles. It was a whole crazy thing. Anyway, yeah, I'm very curious to see what they do with Jericho and Tanahashi in Wrestle Kingdom. Like how they.
This is tougher than I thought when I first saw her question.
I think you could book a show and have a whole bunch of great matches, but the problem is we've seen a lot of the matches that you could have because so many people came from New Japan. I think that's really my issue.
It wouldn't be new. It wouldn't be
right.
Oh my God!
Getting like new interesting matches would be the toughest part. Because and again, who do you put Kenny against? Because he's been against everybody in New Japan. How do you get an interesting match out of that?
This is not looking very good for our resume for our new promotion that's opening up in our neighborhood. We're not doing a good job here.
Nick, I'll tell you what. If we can get everyone on the AEW roster and everyone from the New Japan roster to show up in our local promotion, I think that we will not have to worry too much about who we book against who.
Yeah, the door would be pretty nice for that. Thank you very much, Esme, as always. Next up, Lionel Hernandez asks, hey guys, how are you? Great show like always. Worst storyline of all time for me, The Invasion. All those potential WWE versus WCW dream matches pissed up the wall because Vince was scared of looking weak and rushed it. Oh, and it still burns me to this day that Booker T lost at Mania 19. Thanks and stay sexy.
Hard to argue with that. I think we've been asked this question before, and I think that was the one we said too was Invasion.
Yeah,
because it killed WWE. I mean, the Stone Cold heel turn into Invasion killed the wrestling landscape for 10 years.
I give more credit to the Stone Cold heel turn than I do the rest. I think that if you take that top guy that he was and do that, that was the beginning of the end. I think it did more damage than the rest of the stuff. And then of course Vince walking out and going, "How about him?" A couple years. So
yeah.
I just
even Stone Cold regrets it now, and he said he thought it was fun creatively at the time. And from a creative standpoint, yeah, it was an interesting idea, but it was a terrible idea too. Like
timing was terrible.
Oh, the timing was terrible on it. Wrong time to do it, wrong way to do it. Still a great end to that match because it's just like, holy crap. But the fallout was just so brutal on that. And I mean, we could go into, like, there's been so many storylines that are just dumb and useless, you know, whether it's Katie Vick or you know, the current storyline with Rusev and Lana is just one of a million cuckold, stupid, you know, you love the Test and Stephanie and Hunter storyline. I hated that thing. I thought it was horrible. And that's the great granddaddy of this current Rusev and Lana storyline to me.
Sure.
So all of those could, but here's the thing. The Invasion is, I think, the worst angle of all time because it killed WWE. You had, like he said, you had the ability to unify two companies and make both companies bigger. You were at everyone was watching wrestling. It was the highest ratings they'd ever had. And instead of having some humility and getting over the new guys, giving a palpable threat to the new guys, letting them win some damn matches so you could have an interesting storyline, you basically used it as a petty way to get back at these guys who were working for a company that was working against you for the last few years. Guys who just wanted to make ends meet and get a paycheck. And you screwed them all over and made them look like idiots in a petty get back kind of way. And it screwed your whole company. Like if you want to talk about karma on Vince, that's it right there. Like you lost 5 million viewers because you wanted to get back at somebody who insulted you. And you got back on that, you know, by getting back at the people, like the peons. You didn't kill the officers of the other army. You killed the soldiers who were just following orders. You know what I mean? Like it's wild. It's a crazy thing. And you can see it to this day where they have a hard time wrapping their heads around the idea that if you have an invasion angle, you have to get over the invaders, whether it's Nexus, whether it's NXT right now in the current product. You have to let the people that are invading look strong because then when you beat them, your guys look stronger. If you beat a bunch of goons, your guys don't look strong. They look like bullies. And the other guys look like the whole thing isn't a catchy storyline.
Yeah.
So can't argue with it.
I have two honorable mentions I want to put in here as well. We all kind of universally loathe the Invasion. There's two honorable mentions I want to give. Basically anything to do with Mae Young. Just
no. Like there was some good Mae Young stuff.
I mean,
not the
birthing the hand with Mark. Just
not the swimsuit competition.
And anybody that watched ECW probably knows about the Sandman crucifixion story.
I thought that was cool as hell. A little beyond what they needed to go, but you know, it's fine.
I mean, okay. This one gets into religious territory, and I don't want to go there, but I just want to say it's like if you're able to completely offend so many fans at an ECW show.
The fans weren't offended. Kurt Angle was offended.
Yeah.
That's why they apologized.
Look, to the point that Raven had to just like completely break down and come out like, guys, we took that one too far. We're sorry. Like they had to come out and like apologize at the time, like completely break all this. So this is the one that kind of stood out to me as one of this is ECW as well. Like anything goes, nothing's off limits, but you somehow still manage to take something too far.
See, my counterpoint to that would be that it wasn't a storyline. That's just an angle on a night. And
sure,
they didn't. The fans were like, "All right, that's a little much," but no one in the crowd was really like. They didn't. I don't think they really responded that well to it. But they weren't like offended. They were what they were trying to do is get Kurt Angle to work for ECW. They had him backstage, and he saw that and was like, "This is kind of stuff you guys are doing here." And Paul was like, and because of Kurt Angle and what he felt about it, they sent Raven out to apologize afterwards. So yeah, that's why they did that. And it was only on one night. The whole angle that was going on, the Raven Sandman storyline was awesome. Like with Raven,
it was good.
With Raven brainwashing Sandman's kid and everything. Like that was a great storyline. that particular angle on that night, maybe it wasn't maybe it wasn't the best idea.
Maybe they didn't think that one through.
They didn't think that one through so much. Meanwhile, 3 years later, they crucify Stephanie and Stone Cold on TV. So, I guess it's just all in how you pull it off. What was your other one? You said you had two.
Oh, basically anything to do with Mae Young.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Well,
some of the stuff they did with Vicky, Chavo, and Eddie, are just kind of. We've heard of Eddie-sploitation. We've heard of, some of the ways that they've dealt with a lot of that. I don't know. There was a lot of questionable shit that happened in the mid-2000s that I mostly want to forget. The Edge and Lita sex live in a ring thing, just
go to the end of the 2000s, and anything that Vince Russo wrote for TNT is some of the worst storylines you'll ever read in your life. Oh,
goodness. Yeah, there's some good examples if you guys are looking for some fodder to go back and rewatch and remind yourself of how good things actually are right now.
Dungeon of Doom.
Oh, God.
There's no Hulkamaniacs here. Where am I, brother?
Thank you very much, Lionel, for the question. Finally, last but certainly not least, Chris asks us, since the three-way Becky, Bayley, and Baszler is all set to take place at Survivor Series, which title will Charlotte win to be inserted into it? Yes!
That's so true.
Oh, that's so good. Could the reason Charlotte didn't seem to get into the match... What is this? Could the reason Charlotte didn't seem to get into the match on Monday be because she was mad that she does not have a big match for Survivor Series yet? Also, when was the last Brock Lesnar match without a title? When was the last Brock Lesnar match without a title? I guess technically you could say Money in the Bank.
Yeah, well, that wasn't a match. He just ran down and took it.
But, I mean, it was a match, and he won... I don't know.
Kind of.
That's a good question. I'd actually have to go back and dig to find when Brock Lesnar wasn't in a match that a title was not involved.
Was involved in. Yeah, it's been a while.
Wow. Been a while.
It's been a while.
Do we see Charlotte getting inserted to make this a fatal four-way somehow at Survivor Series? No, because apparently they're going to put the tag team championships on Charlotte and Natty.
We go. No.
You got to be out of your damn minds.
No.
Bury Asuka even further. Wrestling.
Jesus Christ. Is the one hope we see in this is that Charlotte is currently, quote unquote, assigned to Raw, right? So she can't go get Bayley's title because Bayley is obviously the most vulnerable right now. Becky's not dropping her title to Charlotte right now. It's not happening. They need Becky in this match.
Yep.
As much, if not more, than they need Charlotte.
Yeah, they need a face.
So I think we're safe. I think they booked themselves into a corner here. Like, damn it, we forgot. Charlotte has to be on SmackDown to take Bayley's title. I think we're safe. For now. We're gonna give
2 weeks left.
We're gonna give Charlotte a break. She and Andrade are gonna go on some more beach vacations. I think we're safe. For now.
To the Mexican Riviera. Oh God, I don't know. Why are they taking all these trips to like tropical beach vacations?
If you look like those two and you were in love, wouldn't you? And you had the money and the ability, you would too. You go to tropical vacations as it is. What do you mean? Why do they?
Once a year,
I'm the
not
one who
every
sticks
other
back
week.
Here in L.A. and works and has to do things. You're the one that takes 2 weeks off to go to Barbados or wherever the heck you went. Don't come to me. Why do they go to tropical islands? You tell me, tropical boy.
Because it's awesome.
Okay, I'm sure it must be.
And I imagine I barely get to go once a year to they're going every other weekend based on their Instagram.
You know the last time I took a vacation was, Howell?
You know when the last time I took one before 3 years ago?
Before 3 years ago. Well, the last 3 years you made up for lost time.
Yeah, I have.
I know.
have, and everybody should. I have.
I know. You worked and you earned them.
Yeah, I did.
I'm the opposite. I used to take a lot of vacations back in my 20s. Now, I haven't taken a vacation, years. 7, 8 years.
My senior cruise in high school.
Oh God, we're supposed to talk about wrestling.
I know you questioned it.
What do you for a senior cruise?
That was the last vacation I took before 2016.
Oh wow,
that wasn't related to family, or it was just me, right? So, yeah, it had been a minute. So, and then when I did, I went, oh, this is actually really nice. I should probably do this more often.
Well, you're answering your own question. Why do Charlotte Flair and Andrade take these beach vacations? Because they work their asses off for years and years and years, and were, in Andrade's case, probably poor. And in Charlotte's case, probably also poor because her dad's bankrupt all the time.
Right.
And, they're working their butts off for years and years and years. Now they're finally at a place where they can take a vacation. You're damn right they're going to go to the tropical beaches. That's what you do.
Yeah.
There you go.
I do it once a year. They go every other week.
Well,
that's the difference. Based on their Instagram.
Then
maybe they're stockpiling pictures and
then they go get beat up for 9 months out of the year. So
hey, more power to them.
Yeah.
More power to them for sure. Thank you very much, Chris, for that. Was that all of Chris's questions? Yeah, okay. He was asking some funny rhetoricals there.
All right.
Thank you very much, guys, for hanging out. We got to get out of here and go hang out for the buy-in pre-show, which is going to be going on over on Facebook. We're going to be having a Facebook watch party for the AEW Full Gear buy-in kickoff show pre-show. All the pre-show names that we want to. So make sure you guys are ready in the Facebook group. I'm going to be launching that as soon as we get done with the show here. So be ready. But you got to be in the discussion group to be there. So if you're listening to this and you're not watching live, make sure that you are in our Facebook discussion group. Just search for Busted Wide Open, like our page, and send us a join request. We'll get you right in there, and you can get into that. At the top of that group, you'll find a link to our Discord community where we have live chats for all of the shows throughout the week, as well as tonight's Full Gear main show. We'll all be in there chatting live, reacting as we go throughout AEW Full Gear.
Full Gear. You had it. You had it.
I did say it right the first time.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Yay. Right before the show, Nick got it right. Way to go.
As well as we'll have a dedicated channel for Survivor Series coming up a couple of weeks from tomorrow, as well as any other shows going forward. We got Ring of Honor, Impact, NWA, all AEW, everything in the Discord. So make sure you guys are joining that. It is a very hot, up-and-coming, budding wrestling community. And thank you to everybody for hanging out in there with us. We love it, and keeping all the spoilers out of the Facebook group and in the Discord. Thank you very much for that. You keep our good moderator, Jared, sane by doing so. And shout out to Jared for all the work he does.
It's a slight thing.
It is hard work keeping all the spoilers out of that stuff.
It's a hard thing keeping Jared sane, I think is what I was going for.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. To the fact that he may be sane is also a stretch.
That's very questionable.
Yeah. You can also find us over on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast, right here on YouTube, live streaming Tuesdays at 8 p.m., Saturdays at 3 p.m. Make sure you're subscribed and make sure you've got that notification bell ticked so you get alerted anytime we put up new content. YouTube.com/BustedWideOpen. And the Patron show, Patreon.com/BWO. This show is our patron mailbag. It is just for all of you to get your listener questions in every single week so that we can answer them for you. We're hopefully you're very happy to have your own dedicated series now within the Busted Wide Open universe, and we want to make sure that you guys are getting some value out of this. So we take more time to answer more questions and answer them more in full length. So thank you guys every single week for sending in your questions. If you want to get in on some of that, Patreon.com/BWO. All you got to be is it's that $5 tier, and you'll also get access to show notes at the $10 tier. In addition, you can also get access to monthly bonus episodes that we put out, merchandise, sweet swag, Skype calls, all kinds of good stuff over there at Patreon.com/BWO. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at Data Center Dude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God!
Somebody stop the damn match!
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.